If you've watched the moon embracing the sun, you know the sweeping romance and heartbreak. But modern viewers often miss the true terror hiding underneath the plot. This romance carries a very real historical death sentence. It is tempting to look at this story as a standard tale of star-crossed lovers, two people kept apart by jealous rivals and family feuds. The historical reality is far more dangerous. The real Joseon Dynasty was a society obsessed with absolute order. It operated under an uncompromising system of Neo-Confucian law, where every physical space, every piece of clothing, and every social interaction was strictly categorized by the state. In this system, your destiny, your legal rights, and your perceived value as a human being were dictated exclusively by your birth rank. Social mobility was virtually non-existent. You died in the exact caste you were born into, and the laws were violently enforced to keep everyone in their proper place. The core paradox of the series forces us to look at the two extreme ends of this hierarchy. We have the absolute apex of the pyramid, the king, and the very bottom layer of society, the outcasts. The distance between them was vast and legally impassable. A relationship between these two extremes threatened the foundational logic of a 500-year-old empire. If the king breaks the rules of class separation, the entire social order collapses. To understand why, we have to look at the historical reality of the Joseon king. He lacked any personal agency. He served as the literal embodiment of the state, revered as the sun. Because the king was state property, his marriage was managed through a ruthless and highly calculated selection process called the gantek. The king's personal feelings held zero weight during the selection. The gantek was designed solely to balance the power of competing court factions, securing loyalty from powerful noble families by placing their daughters in the palace. The royal bedchamber operated as an active political battleground. Ministers and the Queen Dowager carefully monitored and controlled the space, ensuring the king's lineage served their specific political interests. The king's marriage was the ultimate state asset. Any attempt by the monarch to choose his own partner was an act of political treason against the ministers who controlled those powerful factions. On the opposite side of this equation is the female lead's historical counterpart, the mudong, or shaman, represented in the story as the moon. In ancient times, shamans held positions as deeply respected spiritual leaders. As the Neo-Confucian Joseon government centralized its power, they aggressively marginalized these women, stripping them of their authority and banning them from the capital. The state ultimately reclassified shamans into the Chanmin caste. These were the vulgar commoners. Shamans were forced into this bottom tier, sharing the exact same legal rank as butchers, acrobats, and enslaved people. They were stripped of all legal protections. While they still performed authentic rituals to heal the sick or predict the harvest, they lived in severe social isolation. They were feared for their spiritual connection, yet legally despised and pushed to the absolute fringes of society. For the king to embrace a Chanmin shaman is for the divine architect of the law to embrace the most despised outcast of the law. The plot forces the heroine from the safety of the nobility into the absolute bottom of this social hierarchy. By stripping away her rank, the story places her in a legal void where the king cannot reach her without breaking the very law he is sworn to protect. To reach her, the king must wage a multi-front war. He has to fight the Queen Dowager, his own ministers, and the rigid philosophical bedrock of his own nation. When the king leverages his absolute power to elevate a despised shaman back to the throne, he destroys Joseon's cruelest social boundaries. These historical stakes add a layer of genuine danger to every secret meeting and whispered promise. The romance represents a direct assault on the invisible walls that defined life in this empire for 5 centuries. If you have a favorite historical drama that you suspect has a deeper true story behind it, let me know in the comments. And if you want to discover the real history hidden inside other popular media, subscribe and stick around for the next video.